Hold on, let me start that.
I was just about to say.
Boom.
Start the show a second time.
Well, I guess we might as well. For all of you YouTube people who are missing out, welcome to the Breakdown Podcast. Brandon Miracle, Paul Anderson, Logan Welliver, a lot to talk about. Nintendo Switch Online details revealed earlier this week. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate was revealed and announced yesterday, kind of out of nowhere. We got some movies, TV, anime, and games to shove your way, but before we do that, we're going to jump into the main topic, which is, of course, Nintendo Switch Online. Logan, I guess I'm going to throw this in your corner to start. What is your immediate reaction to what they told us?
You know, we were eagerly awaiting these announcements.
Which I slept through, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just went under the radar. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting something like this. Just kind of at some point, they just posted on Twitter, "Hey guys, this is what we're offering," and it's kind of exactly what I expected. You know, it paints a very generic face on the online service. I think my favorite part of it was just the fact that they confirmed that there will be cloud backups.
That's really the only thing new
in the cloud.
Here.
Yeah, everything else we kind of knew about. So I guess just having that confirmation, that was good enough for me. Like I'm already willing to pay $60 a year for, PlayStation Plus, and this is a third of the cost of that. And from what I can see, it's about the same. Except instead of getting like 2 bigger titles every month, we'll just get a bunch of NES games for the foreseeable future. Obviously, I think I still have a lot of questions, and I believe I will not get all of those answered before launch because I think a lot of it will take place after launch.
You probably won't.
Yeah, we have this base of what we're probably going to see, come September, and it'll be fine. It'll be worth $20. Like that's kind of a non-issue, really. If they want me to pay for online, like they could have not put all this stuff in here, and I probably still would have paid, except for the cloud backup. If they didn't have the cloud backup, I probably wouldn't have, would have bitten.
Well, I mean. You wouldn't have bitten to play Smash Brothers Online?
I mean, obviously. But it's just
you would have
like,
not been as happy about it, probably.
I would have been really upset if I was spending any sort of money and not getting some very basic features of what an online service should have. So the fact that it's there at least shows Nintendo has hit, some sort of a baseline for their online offering, while also making it, a ton cheaper. And honestly, I hope that in the future I can pay more than $20, specifically, like if that means that the online service is going to grow, are we going to get more games on this classics service,
That's actually not even officially the name of the service.
Well, I know, which is... I like the name of it.
That was the rumored name from that GameFAQs leak, which if you believe the GameFAQs leak, I'm sorry, but you can't be human, because that leak is a crock of poo.
It's
PatNet Official is following us now, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Honestly, you look like you've been thinking on something, Paul.
I'm still not completely sold. There's one thing that they have yet to tell us that will really decide whether or not I'm okay with this, $20 paywall. Granted, I'm not upset about the price. I'm not upset about these features, but they're not the features that are important here.
I think I'm on the same page as where you're going here.
Is this actually going to give us improved online multiplayer?
Thank you for asking that question, because that's the question a lot of people are ignoring.
If it doesn't, they just put a $20 a year paywall on online service that we already had for free, and they're not improving it. What's the point?
That's kind of the impression I'm getting from this. The fact that they are, not drawing any attention to that aspect of the service at all makes me believe that there is literally nothing changing about how we play our games online and the experience we'll have doing it outside of these tertiary features in the Switch Online service. So
that would be incredibly disappointing to me.
Splatoon 2 is probably going to stay peer-to-peer. Mario Kart 8 probably won't change.
I'd be okay with that aspect of it. If they don't go back and improve it for older games, I want it to improve going forward.
Yeah.
If I'm paying for it, I want to have a very pristine online experience with Smash Brothers, which isn't something we've really had to date.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a huge selling point for me, especially now that I don't live in the same place as, the Smash community that I grew up playing with. I need to play online with people, and if it's not going to be a prime experience, it kills a lot of that Smash game for me.
Well, I think you guys will be glad to know that you guys are being kind of negative Nellies right now, right? And I think I have a lot more confidence that we'll get,
regardless of whether or not they actually improve that. Like, I'm still paying for it. It's $20 a year. I mean,
but I think
it's less than $2 a month.
I think you'll play and you'll experience less of those online issues that we currently have.
That's ultimately the hope. You could throw the rest of these features out the window, and if that aspect of the service, doesn't improve anything, then I'll be disappointed.
It's a cash grab.
Yeah, don't expect that you're never going to drop due to your own, stuff or the online service going down for one reason or another. But I think that will start to be the regular, the abnormal.
At the very least, we need to get away from peer-to-peer in future games. Like Splatoon 3 should not be a peer-to-peer experience. That's a game that needs to run on servers. I can understand a game like Smash being peer-to-peer because you're only going to have 4 people in a room at once. Excuse me, pardon me.
Unless they add online,
but when you're doing
that
stuff,
right?
At 8-player Smash, you're not even taking it seriously. You're just doing it for the chaos at that point.
I do want to shout out PatNet Official. He says, "Crossing my fingers, it will be better than Smash 4's internet." Smash 4 even was a huge improvement over Brawl. But yes, I would very much like to see that improve. In fact, next week you'll see a video from me about the ways that I think Smash 5 could improve on the online experience. So look forward to that.
I mean, so far, like overall, $20 for these features like cloud backup saves, okay. The Nintendo Entertainment System online, like that, I still have a little bit of contention with. Not that I don't think it's an exceptional value, and I look forward to it. I still feel like there's a place to have a virtual console library. This is going to be great for a lot of people, but there are a few people that might not be interested in the online service. They might just want this game or that game, and they should still have the option to purchase that a la carte. To completely block it behind this, again, a paywall, I don't particularly agree with that. And granted, I don't expect this to ever be more than just like their first-party games. Those are the most important ones.
I kind of disagree with you on that one, Paul. I feel like we're headed in a direction where maybe releasing those games piecemeal at like $5.99 and $9.99 and $14.99 isn't exactly what the market needs. I don't necessarily want to have to buy like 7 or 8 virtual console games at those prices when I could spend $20 a year and just have it in my library.
I mean, this is more for people that don't want to do that. Right. Like if I live somewhere where I can't get good internet, I couldn't.
That's understandable.
I can't have a regular, like in my previous situation where I couldn't play an online versus game. I could still get online. I could still download titles. I wouldn't want to pay $20 a month for this online service, and then, all I would be paying for in that case would be access to this library, and I still would. But there are people that wouldn't. They might just want
to respond to Nintendo. Respond to Nintendo Snow Plays in the YouTube chat. Says, I'm hoping that VC isn't tied to internet or the online service. They have confirmed you can play those games offline, so I do not believe you will have to be online to access them.
I would imagine how it's going to work is kind of how Game Pass is working right now on the Xbox. So I imagine what will happen is you're like, oh, here's all these games, and which ones do you want to play? And you got to download them, So it's easy for NES games because they're so small, right? Mm-hmm. Those things are going to be like under like 50 megabytes like most.
I mean, all 20 of these games you could probably install on your Switch and not even lose.
Right. And
blocks.
So just, you can download all the games you want. And then I could imagine that like you could probably play those games for like up to maybe 30 days or something like that before you had to connect to the internet again to like renew that 30-day license or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could see something like that happen. And actually, that's another question, is we don't even know how that's going to work necessarily. This is only like speculation. It's like, okay, they would make sense that if it worked like this.
From the wording,
but I don't think it's going to be streaming.
From the wording on here, it says enjoy 20 NES games with added online play for the first time ever, and more games added regularly. There's no sign of games being removed. Or like
that's actually
through.
The one thing about their system now that I actually like better than when they initially proposed this idea, is with PlayStation Network, you only have 30 days to actually purchase the games and add them to your library, and then they're gone.
This is more like a Netflix service.
Like it accumulates.
Yeah. Conman RDW in the chat says to respond to the title question, yes, it is. It is worth it. $20 is chump change. We agree on that level. Like, for $20 a year, who cares if I get to play online?
Yeah, fine. I spend more than that like in 2 days just on food, right? When I could be spending that on food at the grocery store. And
we actually have a little bit of a different perspective here with Nintendo Snow Plays. They say, don't know about that, but I'm a teen, so I don't have a job. My perspective might be a little warped. That is understandable. $20 a year could be very expensive to a kid or a teenager who doesn't have a job and they have to rely on their parents. But they do have this family plan deal that we haven't talked about yet.
I was just about to say that.
So eight Nintendo accounts can come together through one Nintendo account and pay $35 a year. And Nintendo of Europe confirmed that this works across multiple Switches. So theoretically, the three of us could be on the same family plan and pay, chump change.
I think there is going to be one difficulty with that is kind of unforeseen. In that you will have to have the main, like the person paying for the account has to have their account logged in on a different platform. And listening to NVC talk about it, they made it seem like that was a little more difficult said than done. A little more difficult done than said. So I don't know.
And there's going to be a level of trust involved here. Like the three of us are far apart, so whoever helms the account would have to give them the other people the login information in order to do that. So, I mean, that's assuming that, that it's going to work like that. They don't actually say for sure how that's going to work, but we can make our family groups in 4 days from today. You'll be able to do that on Nintendo's website. So maybe we'll find out then. Who knows? Nintendo Snow Plays is saying again, if the Switch is trying to market to everyone, then the paid online was an odd choice. However, it's just kind of the way of the world now. We really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, Nintendo has had free online, ever since they started offering it. So this is going to be a change of pace for a lot of Nintendo fans. But then again, like I said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what kind of payment and resources it takes to keep this online service up. So
hopefully
maybe it's just for the upkeep,
and it's actually like
that ultimately
there will be some payoff for it.
You're being too negative. You're being too negative. You gotta say
we
when.
Don't know.
You gotta say when.
We're paying for it, Logan.
We don't get
just
to control that, man. Going back to like the not having a job and like how difficult that can be. Like I remember when I was still in high school and I just could not find a job to save my life, and so I never had money, and it was really a difficult thing just to get a game. It was a big deal if I was getting a game as soon as it released for $60. And that's actually been one of my problems with like online services being so expensive at like $60, even for a year. Granted, that's not expensive like on a monthly basis. That was a whole game. That was a whole game that I would not get to play in exchange for being able to have online multiplayer with these other games I was getting. And so the payoff wasn't always quite there with how much funds I had. $20 I'm a little more okay with, and I think I would have been back then too, just because that's not the full game. I can get that, I can maybe get a smaller game, or I can balance it out. But I think $20 for a year, it could have easily been so much worse.
Yeah, we pay all three of us pay $60 a year for PlayStation Plus, and I remember when PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live first launched, and they were like $50 and $60 a year respectively, and I was like, there's no way I'd ever pay for something like that. Yet here I am already paying for PlayStation Plus, and now there's a $20 Nintendo service. But I play a lot of Splatoon 2 online. I intend on playing Smash 5 online a whole lot. I play ARMS online. I play Mario Kart 8 online. It's for how much I get out of the system as it is right now. $20 a year is pretty fair to me. With not having a job again, like I can see that. Paul, all three of us have been in that position before. Everyone's been in that position at some point in their life.
It still absolutely sucks.
Yeah. Hopefully, like, this family plan will be a way out for you. Like, I plan on using the family plan. My wife and I both have Nintendo Switches, and I don't want to have to pay $20 a year for each system. And that's a worry I had going into this. So when they announced a family plan, I was like, great. They directly addressed my issue.
If their ultimate goal is to have, like, multi-Switch households, I think that was actually a really brilliant move on their part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you got
accounts,
like, if you say say on the extreme end, you have like a family of 8, right? 6 kids and 2 parents. That's what I live with, right? But like, and imagine everybody having Switches. Okay, you just have to pay $35 a year for all of those people to be able to play online. That's fantastic. That's nothing.
I mean, on the other hand, it does sound like every single account on a Switch has to pay for the service, unless you're in the family plan, in order to get online service. As to where, like, on PlayStation, whoever the administrator account is, if they're paying for online, all the other accounts on the system can utilize it.
Yeah, that's how we do it here, right? So I actually need to renew my PS Plus subscription. But my home console is actually Johnny's console, and then I just log in on my PS4. That way both of us, have access to the online service whenever we need it, and yeah, works out pretty well.
I still think one of the nice things, and I don't mean to like knock the Nintendo Entertainment System, like the online games that much, because it's still, like I said, I think it's a fantastic value. And the nice thing about it is when you're paying for it, you like from the get-go, it unlocks 20 games for you. That's a game for every dollar spent.
Games that used to cost $4.99 a piece on the eShop.
And if they keep expanding that, which I wholeheartedly believe it's going to make it to SNES, it's going to make it to N64. It's going to be a worthwhile library.
Willing to pay $20 a year for a Netflix of Nintendo games.
Nintendflix.
Like,
the thing I'm still upset about with the loss of virtual consoles, that was my main hope for getting GameCube games on my Switch.
Conman RDW is, he says, the fact that they are NES games has me feeling blah. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be that way for long. For too long.
I feel that way along with Paul. I don't think we're going to be stuck with NES games forever. When they first announced this whole thing, they were like, "Yeah, we're thinking about SNES games." People took that to heart and said, "There's going to be SNES games," but they made it very clear from the beginning that that was a possibility and not a guarantee.
It's also really easy to deliver on that nostalgia with the NES, especially for like older purchasers.
Hi, Marcos.
So it's like even just the fact that I can go and I can play Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. 3. Like, there are some really great classics on the NES. And some people are just going to be thrilled with that because they're like, look at all these old games that I haven't played in forever, It's like I've gotten out of gaming and all of a sudden I have a Switch and now I'm playing all these NES games,
I think the real value comes to when we get to, like, Super Nintendo, if we make it to, like, Nintendo 64, that's when the online play edition really becomes lucrative, because playing a game of, like, 4-player Smash 64 or even 2-player Super Mario Kart online, that's something I never would have dreamed Nintendo would have done like 5-6 years ago. But yeah, here we are. So a lot of those games that have multiplayer but require you to be in the same place, that's a thing of the past. Like, playing Mario Party 2 with you guys over the internet, I could finally get my fix without having to wait for you guys to come visit like every 2 months.
That would be amazing. Can we get N64 games with online?
Now, let me pose a question. Say they do start adding games from other systems, but you have to pay a higher yearly price to access them.
Yes.
Depends on the price.
Yes.
It depends on the price. If it's another $20,
$20 is steep.
No,
it's already really cheap.
It depends on what
if it's
they're
another
talking about.
If it's another $5 or like $10,
like would you pay $60 a year to get all console generations up through the GameCube?
As long as we still have
That's
a family
including
plan
the
option.
GameCube? If it's including the GameCube, $60, I don't care what it's for. I would do that just for GameCube games, especially
Well,
if they
that's
have
the
the
thing.
online.
When they start to add really, really compelling content, right now it's just $20 a year. But then they're like, okay, well, we need to increase the revenue. We need more money for these reasons. Okay, now we're going to do SNES. Okay, and we're going to say it's $30 a year now. $30 a year for SNES games and NES games? Like, oh yeah. And then it just goes up from there, you know?
Thanks, Nintendo Snow, for sticking around. Hope you come back. Yeah, you know, I understand all of the criticisms. Obviously, I have some of my own, but I'm gonna start paying for this on day one. I'm gonna play Smash Brothers with it because I know it's coming out the same day. We all believe that. At the very least, the same week. Come on.
Yeah.
I think they're headed in the right direction. What they need to work on, and I've been saying this a lot. Oh, and Conman says, "Don't worry, I'm still here, baby." And he left a heart. Thank you. Bless you. Now I'm just like completely gone. That's it. There's my train.
I can
pick it up.
I got something. Speaking of criticisms.
Oh, bring it in.
Nintendo Switch online app. Why?
Oh yeah. We should talk about that. They're pushing this even harder. I don't hate the online app in terms of voice chat.
Just needs
I don't
a lot
hate
of work.
If Discord teamed up with voice chat on Nintendo Switch, I would use the online app. That's the one thing about the actual app itself I don't like, is the voice quality is bad, like really bad. But if we had Discord quality calls, but added in with the functionality of the call app, because the call app does some really cool things. Like when you're in a big private room in Splatoon 2, when a match starts, it splits you up into separate voice calls based on who your teammates are. That's neat. That's cool stuff. I'd like to have that in a Discord-like app. Give me more of that.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have the best of both worlds because, you know, we do so much over Discord and we have all this communication happening. And so to have like a Nintendo Switch online app that worked in conjunction or something like that with Discord, like that would be amazing. Like, okay, I can access all my Discord calls from this app, but then again, it has that functionality of being able to just talk to people online in the game that you're in without having them call them over to Discord, you know.
Yeah.
When you're playing a match, you don't have to spend time like, you know, separating people into calls so that you can chat while you play. It just does it for you. That's neat.
Yeah. So there's potential. I mean, the app isn't worthless. It's just
not in a state where it's useful.
There's a lot of potential in having a crossover, you know, working with Discord because it's such a large platform already. You hear so many people saying, well, I don't really like the Switch Online app, so we just use Discord. If people are already going to use it anyway, you know,
everybody
take it to them.
That's what I'm saying, because Discord is partnering up with Xbox now, and they're going to have functionality with Xbox accounts. Why can't we have that with Switch?
It's such an amazing resource. If that Nintendo would just reach out to them, just work with them.
Discord's reached out to them. Just accept the offer.
Yeah, it's such a good idea.
Conman says
that's one thing
Conman says he hates the app. The only reason he got it is for Splatoon 2. He says, how are you going to have this Nintendo Switch Online app and you only got one game on it? That's really embarrassing. Come on.
I think they were like, okay, we're going to launch it with Splatoon because it's like, you know, it's a team shooter and you need the online voice chat for that. That was the one Nintendo game that absolutely needed it. And so they released it bare bones as is, but, you know, maybe
I feel like their intention was always to come back and keep working on it, and we just haven't seen that one bit.
Well, that might be because they've attempted to launch this like twice now, and it got delayed more than once. It was supposed to come out fall of last year, and then beginning of this year, and then got delayed again to September. So who knows like what's been going on behind the scenes. I think the reaction to the NES games probably delayed them maybe the first time, and the second time was like, hey, maybe our system's bad. Who knows? I just hope like that all this time, like this, as long as it's been delayed, actually means something. We obviously we don't know everything about Switch Online. Logan, like you said, we probably won't until after it launches. There's still 10 NES games that we don't know what they are, and we don't know like how much of a positive influence or positive increase we're going to have in our online play because of this. At the very least, like when Smash comes out, I want to see Smash have robust options, more customization, and just feel like an online game. If they do that, I'll be satisfied because, you know, we can have that going forward.
There's still one more aspect of this too that I know this is something we're absolutely not going to hear about till afterwards, but special offers.
Yeah.
If I could get some decent discounts on the Nintendo exclusives, which they never discount for being a subscriber to the service, hallelujah.
Yeah, if you get like $20 off of like a $60 game at some point, you know, look at that thing. It's just paid for itself.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to incentivize people for sure. Like they do that with PlayStation Plus, and I enjoy the occasional discount. They're not great, but they're better than what other people get.
Yeah, some of
them can be pretty good. I mean, I remember like, you know, I think the definitive edition of like Dark Souls 3 was like dirt cheap. You know, it was like 60-70% off.
And Nintendo people have the
PlayStation Plus.
Nintendo people have the added bonus of using their gold coins on top of this.
That's gonna be a nice system too.
And you can use those coins like on discount, like coupons on Nintendo's whatever service. I don't even remember what it is. My Nintendo.
You get some dang games for free.
So if you could stack some of those discounts, maybe we'd be in good shape.
I had a 360 and Xbox Live most of college, and I actually was able to buy a lot of games at significant discounts because Microsoft is like, they're really stellar at their special offers for Xbox Live members. If Nintendo could come up with, you know, even half as compelling offers as that, you know, I could really fill out my 32 gigabyte flash memory in the system.
Yeah, just every once in a while, you
go
see
buy
like,
Doom, you'll fill it up.
5% off of like Picross S, which is like an $8 game or something like that.
I have a feeling we'll see a lot
really
of those
stellar coupons.
Yeah, I anticipate that's probably the direction we're going to go. Ultimately, you know, I'd like to see some cool, maybe like exclusive free game downloads. Not so much like a PlayStation Plus or an Xbox thing, but, you know, maybe once in a blue moon they have this game that they just push out and they just make it free. And they're like, here, you can download it if you have Nintendo Switch Online. And now you have it for free.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, you know, we're getting this kind of like regime change, you know, at Nintendo, and who knows what kind of ideas are gonna come out of this, you know, leadership switch. You know, because we have someone who's a little bit younger, and you kind of, you know, we assume he knows more about our generation and
Praise
where
be to Furukawa.
the business, where's the business moving, you know? So I think even offering like, you know, the NES games that's a step forward. I think we'll see the online service grow further. This is just what we're getting at the start.
You're right. We're seeing Nintendo do things that they would have never done in the past. The problem is that Nintendo has a problem with making half steps and not taking the full jump. And Nintendo and Clarity have never been good friends either. So, like, you'll find out about something that's going to happen, but you don't completely understand it because they don't tell you everything, which leads to conversations like this that we're having right now.
Well, I feel like this is going to be something that if they botch, they're going to know really quickly and they're going to act really quickly.
Yeah.
There's not going to be much choice when they just took away something that had been free for so long on something this popular.
They kind of shot themselves in the foot by pushing it back for so long too. Like, people have been so accustomed to having this for free for so long that they're probably not going to be as happy having to pay for it. But I digress. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of kids who got their Switches at Christmas and their parents aren't going to pay online for them, and they're just going to be out of luck. No Splatoon for them.
Yeah, they're going to have to push this pretty hard to, one, communicate with people that this is something that's happening. Because I don't think everybody will be aware that it's like, oh, crap,
at least
now I can't.
Mention it at E3 when you talk about Smash Online. Just
I
mention
really
it
hope.
in passing. Let them know it exists.
They're going to have to drill it into people's heads. Guys, you're going to have to pay for online. This is just what's
They've
happening.
not talked about this in any live presentations, like, since the Switch was revealed. You just got your pizza, Logan, by the way. In case you didn't notice.
Thanks, pizza boy.
But in the
Pizza
interest of
boy.
time, we're going to
Pizza,
jump
pizza
over
boy.
to some other interesting news that happened this week. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate got announced yesterday, just completely out of left field.
So tasty.
I thought this game was never coming. I thought it was over.
Yeah, I lost hope, especially after Monster Hunter World dropped. I just assumed it wasn't happening at all.
I may have forgotten about it after Monster Hunter World came out. Not gonna lie.
I absolutely forgot about it after Monster Hunter World came out.
It's probably good that they didn't release this, like, closer to Monster Hunter World, because you don't
That
want,
would have only ended badly.
you don't want it competing with that.
There's only one game to buy at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have access to both, then there's only one game to buy at that point.
The release window they're doing for this it's really smart. It's releasing in August, like half a year after Monster Hunter World launched. I'm unwound from Monster Hunter World right now. I'm waiting for like a meteor update to get back into the game again. Other than like cool events like Call of Taroth, which was like, yeah, I gotta play this right now. So releasing this is a good idea because I'm not like invested in World right now, so I can be invested in this game instead, and maybe World will come out with a big update and I can jump back over to that one. It's weird living in a world where I'll have two Monster Hunter games that are relevant at the same time.
Well, you want to know the cool thing too? Is that right now, if you own Monster Hunter, what was it, Generations on the 3DS, you can start playing. You can transfer the data to your Switch when that game arrives. So I actually think I'm going to sometimes be like maybe during the summer jump back into it and just kind of get my bearings, because I think I was using a different weapon class than what I want to be using. I think I also have like a different. I somehow managed to get 38 hours into that game, and it felt more like 4 or 5.
In Monster Hunter years, it is like 4.
I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say, before you get to anything hard, you have to play like 30 plus hours. So I think
I
just started playing the game because I'm struggling with it now.
It'll be important to get my bearings back from those 40 hours that weren't very memorable.
It'll be weird too
before the game drops,
because this is a very different Monster Hunter. This is classic Monster Hunter.
I gotta get back into that for sure.
It'll be weird. We're gonna have to watch ourselves gather materials. We're not gonna be able to gather on the go. Just a lot of steps back.
We're not gonna be able to drink potions and run around still.
No, we're not. This is
that's gonna be the hardest one.
I mean, at least this game is different enough from even some of the other mainline Monster Hunters and Monster Hunter World to say that, like, it's worth experiencing. For those who have only played Monster Hunter World, it's not going to be quite as streamlined or pretty. You're going to lose out on a lot of stuff because it's the old formula.
Or easy.
Yeah, it'll be pretty rough.
Gathering's gonna it's gonna have to be intentional,
but a lot of monsters, and if you're in it for the monsters,
the most in the entire series is 93 large monsters, I think.
That's a lot. That's a whole heck of a lot.
Monster Hunter World just had a little over 30. Hi, Electric. So this will be a huge jump if you're coming from World. You'll have a lot more content, a ton more content. 93 monsters is a lot of monsters. There'll probably be monsters in that game you fight once and never go back to. I know that because it's happened to me. Giganox
I think it's
in 3
actually
Ultimate, I think
like,
I fought once. Ever.
I think it's going to be easier than we think going back to the classic formula.
We know it so
just
well.
because you have those different segments, those different areas, And so the monster leaves and you are safe again. So you can go to the different gathering points
and you are safe again.
I mean, it's actually like, that's the amazing thing about World is that they took away all these different areas, but they still made it like, you're safe at certain points. The monster's not in the same area as you. He's not going to get you where you're at, and you can breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's easy to go into that loading zone. You're like, woo!
So if you're a Monster Hunter World fan, you haven't played any of the other games, this is great, actually. If you have a Switch and you want Monster Hunter on your Switch, Monster Hunter Generations, as its namesake, is a huge celebration of all of the generations of Monster Hunter before. So Generations 1 through 4 are all present. You get to go to the villages from each one of those games, actually. And representatives from all across the series are in the game. They make it even cooler by spicing up the gameplay. There are 6 different hunting styles that you can apply to each weapon class, which actually...
There's 6?
There's 6 in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. 4 in the
Okay, I
original.
remember there being 4. I thought it was crazy.
Nope, there's 6 in this version. And even the Palicos, the Prowlers, have hunting styles now, too. That gives you a new moveset for each style with your weapon class. So if you want a little bit more flair with a particular weapon you're using, or you want to change things up, now you can do it that way. So you can have 4 hammers on the same team, and they could all be different. That's pretty awesome. You can hook up with your friends online or locally with Nintendo Switch, so that's super cool. You have it as a 720p HD experience in your hands, which is kind of awesome.
It's like Monster Hunter, but on the go. It's never been portable before.
The single player and multiplayer are going to be different, unlike World, but there are things about World that I don't like in that regard anyway. The multiplayer quests, you can just do them with your friends instead of having to watch cutscenes beforehand. In Monster Hunter before World, you just had to suck it up and watch the cutscenes with your friends anyway. Why couldn't we do that?
But at least you started all at the same time. You didn't just like join it after the fact.
But I digress. I'm excited for Monster Hunter, I almost said World Ultimate. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I'll be buying it day 1, transferring my 3DS save, and continuing an adventure that I never finished.
I'm not entirely sure if I'm excited for it yet, because I didn't finish it the first time around. But I'm going to buy it anyway, because it's Monster Hunter on Switch, and that's all I've been asking for since I got
Switch. You gotta get Switch. You gotta get it on.
Electric wants to remind you, Paul, about Monster Hunter on 3DS PS Vita. Yes, we know. Yeah. If you're new to Monster Hunter and never played one before, don't buy this game. Buy World. Just
buy World.
Heed my advice. Heed our advice.
It's also a lot prettier.
Yeah. But if you have some friends who are picking it up on Switch and you're not sure, there is a demo on the 3DS, and I'm sure they'll release one on the Switch. There is a Japanese Switch demo as well. Just get a feel for it. If you have friends who've played the series before, that is the easiest way to get in. When you have someone who knows what they're doing, they can speak the things to you that the game doesn't tell you, which is almost everything. So there you go.
I genuinely hope moving forward, like we have the Monster Hunter World on the platforms that can really handle it, but then we have a more classic formula on like the Switch and a little bit underpowered hardware. But I also hope they take a lot of these quality of life improvements they made to World and apply them to the classic formula.
That'd be nice. Hopefully we see that in the future on Switch. We haven't seen the end of Monster Hunter on Nintendo platforms. We're fine.
This proves it.
Obviously not.
Monster Hunter Stories is a Nintendo exclusive franchise. I don't think we've seen the end of that
I just remembered
either.
it existed.
Yeah, it's a great game. If you like RPGs and you like Pokemon, try it out.
And if you like Monster Hunter.
And if you, well, especially if you like Monster Hunter. There's also an anime that might be bad that you can watch. But enough about that.
I mean, did you finish it, the anime?
No.
Can you definitively say that through and through it's bad?
I watched 8 episodes and was tired of it.
Okay.
Hey, what if all the episodes after that were really good?
I didn't watch more than 8 episodes, so I can't say. I don't like to judge things until I've made it to the end, though.
It's not that it was bad. It's just not for me. It was very much a Pokemon as a child kind of anime. Michaela's in the chat saying it's not that bad. She finished it and I didn't. enough about that. We got to talk about Splatoon. Apparently, some crazy Splatoon, shocking, world-breaking news is happening on June 9th for Splatoon. And this little tidbit of information was released by Weekly Jump. What a weird place for that to happen. News.
Clearly, the news is that they're having a crossover with My Hero Academia, the game that's coming out on the Switch later this year.
You mean My Squid Academia?
Yes, they're going to remove all the anime characters and replace them with the Splatoon characters, and then rebrand it. Splatoon's one's Justice, one's Splatoon.
Yeah, all of them have quirks, except they all have the same quirk of turning from a squid into a kid. Oh man.
So there's really only a few things this could be. The fact that Weekly Jump is the one teasing this information tells me that this is going to be an anime announcement. I don't know if that's necessarily world-breaking, but I would love that.
I would be so down for an anime.
The Nintendo Dads also brought up the possibility of it being a movie, which I would also be okay with. Wow. I think I'd like it more as an anime maybe than a movie at this point.
You gotta do the anime, and then you gotta, when you finish the anime, you do the anime.
I could see this.
I feel like that would still be. I feel like a movie would still be an odd choice to announce through
Weekly Jump.
Maybe they're just gonna announce,
or if Jump made the movie.
Maybe
we are talking about a Splatoon thing.
Nintendo is really going hard on their version of the MCU. And we're just gonna see like a 3D animated Splatoon film.
And then Nick Fury walks up.
I would expect a 3D film if they were going that way. I wouldn't expect necessarily an anime film.
Well, that's something that any of the people tied to Jump could probably do anyway. But Jump is a manga service at the same time. And we already have a Splatoon manga. It exists already. Hi, John. We missed you.
We missed you.
I'm pretty sure this is an anime. Like,
I would be absolutely okay with that.
I'm so down for it. Fill out the lore of that world even.
But you know what? I also wouldn't mind if they, made Turf War playable multiplayer with your friends. You could team up, and you don't have to wait for freaking Splatfest.
That's the big news, guys.
Big news.
We're fixing a problem that we've had since Splatoon 1.
Conman is suggesting maybe something along the lines of the Kid Icarus shorts. I actually think this will be, like, if it's an anime, I think it'll actually be just a full-on anime. This is big enough in Japan to warrant something like that. I think this is going to be your Saturday morning cartoon, Pokemon-style anime series, where a kid... This is what's going to happen. This is a Jump series, a Shonen Jump series, so this is going to be the plot. The Inkling boy or the Inkling girl is going to want to be the best Splatoon Turf War player in the entire world, and that's going to be the plot.
I'm already sold. Like, if I wasn't already excited about having a Splatoon anime, like, that got me like 3 times the hype. And I don't know why, because I know the formula and I know exactly what it's gonna be, but I still love it. And
I hope there's lots of like angry screaming, like, I'm gonna win this. There's a splatter shot.
No, Logan.
20 seconds.
Logan,
what?
They're not gonna talk to each other because there's no voice chat.
No. What are they gonna do without their voice chat?
Michaela says it's gonna be an agent story. I think they would integrate more of the multiplayer side of things. There's going to be an arc about them being Agent 3 and taking on DJ Octavio and the Octarians, but that's not going to be the only thing. If this becomes an anime, I see this becoming like a long-form series and just going on for years, maybe without like an overarching plot. It just happens.
It's just there's not going to be any dub that anybody can understand. Because they're speaking freaking Squid Kid, right?
they're speaking
like
Squid Kid
and all this stuff, and then you just see the text on the bottom of what they're saying.
I hope that's the official name for the Inkling language, Squid Kid. Squid Kid speak.
I kind of like it'll be interesting for the anime now if they incorporated the Octolings, that are available in Turf War, sort of.
Yeah, and we're going to learn a lot more about them in the new story that we're getting, which I'm very excited about, because it sounds like it'll be deep for the most part. like get deep in the lore. That's the kind of story I like. I honestly don't see what else this could be other than an anime announcement. The fact that Weekly Jump is the one that teased that Nintendo is making an announcement, like, I don't see this.
Is it a tease or are they reporting on a rumor?
Weekly Jump just came out with this. I don't know specifically. It could have been an error translation too, for who knows. But all I know is that that it came from them, and Weekly Jump would be a weird source to just make something up.
Right.
Especially about something they have nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that they had anything to say about Splatoon in general.
Yeah. Conman RDW says, Splatoon would be a super hype show, like it would be one of the most family-oriented shonen animes out there. And that'd be great, because Splatoon is actually really popular with families in Japan. Like, you look at a lot of the tournaments that they host in Japan, and there are teams that are literally like a household of 4, like a married couple and their 2 kids. It's really adorable.
Oh my God.
Splatoon is a really awesome like series for how it brings people together. He says it would break the anime wall like Yokai Watch did. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
Any other suggestions as to what this announcement could actually be? Nintendo is the ones officially making the announcement. I should clarify that. On June 9th, they said Nintendo is making an announcement, so maybe it's not an anime.
Not something I'm expecting, but I would love to see some Splatoon 2 and ARMS crossover. I feel like they're very similar in their world building, like character designs, and so I feel like it could work. Not entirely sure how, but I'd be interested to see something along those lines. Logan.
Guys, I
saw that
I know
face.
exactly. I know exactly what this is.
Oh boy.
On June 9th, Nintendo is going to announce the Inklings are in Smash. The Smash
Stop
Nintendo
right
Switch.
Stop.
It's coming. Did you guys know that it's coming out on Nintendo Switch? Smash Bros. Is coming out on Nintendo Switch.
Stop right there. You're
You
making
stop
all of
lying
this
to me.
up. I don't believe you. I'm taking my headphones off. I'm done with this show.
No! 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 Come back, Brandon. We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
He committed
Let's
to this
just
a
try
lot
to
more
make
than
a
I
joke.
expected him to.
You probably needed like a glass of water. It's like everybody just leaves the podcast like in the middle of it just to get a glass of water.
We'll take a brief intermission.
Welcome back. You should leave more often.
I only came back because I needed water.
I totally called it. I was like, he's just gonna make an exit and get more water.
That's what I did.
You'd be happy to know that we were completely unpredictable while you were gone. You keep us on track.
Conman says, "Is this a leak? You'd better stop before the Nintendo ninjas come."
Nintendo ninjas.
Oh man.
Yeah, don't. Well, no, we don't do leaks here. At least we don't leak them ourselves. We just report on ones that seem like they might make sense.
I'm sorry. You gotta apologize, Logan. We were trusted with that information, and you just leaked it to all of our audience of 3 people.
Yo, I wish we were trusted with that information. Maybe one day they're gonna be like, Reggie's gonna come out, yo, Logan. I go, what? And he goes, hey, you want to hear about this new game? And I'll be, Reggie, I just heard about this game. You've told me like 5 times already. You got to keep it on straight, man.
I'm drinking
He's like
the leak right now.
86 years old and he can't like talk or walk hardly at all.
I actually do have an
Old Reggie
exclusive. It's the new Fluidity for Switch.
Fluidity 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
Live footage.
It's Fluidity and now it's a musical game too.
Wrangling us back in. We're back to
I
reality.
get you.
Before we move on, I did have one suggestion for what the announcement could actually be, and the only other thing that I could really think that would happen is that Nintendo would announce that the Octo expansion is out right now, and they'll just drop it on the eShop.
I can see it.
That's the only other thing I think could happen.
I think for that piece of DLC, but that works fine.
Though the biggest assumption about that is it'll release on July 13th alongside the Pearl and Marina amiibo, which I personally think is what's happening.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that would be a good plan.
Conman says Logie is so hype randomly, it's so silly. XD. Any other news that we should talk about before we move on to the breakdown?
How about how great Paul looks today? I mean, he's just, man, you're on fire, boy.
Really,
you
man.
got it going on.
It's pretty great.
Thank you.
And with that, we're on to the breakdown segment of the Breakdown podcast. This is the part of the show where we tell you the anime, movies, TV, and video games we've been playing with over the week. Excuse me. Paul, I watched a movie you've been telling me to watch for years. I watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That's the exact one I told you to watch.
Hey, I liked it a lot, by the way.
Good. You hadn't seen it before?
It's my first time.
I'm sorry that I could have sworn I made you watch it already.
It's a fun one.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a nice love story.
It's got the best lead male possible.
And it had Paul Rudd in it. That's always a plus for me. Especially when they're in the movie at the same time.
That's the lead role. That's the lead role.
No, it was Paul Rudd. He was the secret.
You guys are both talking about Paul Rudd.
I'm actually a huge fan of Jason Segel, though.
Yeah, me too.
I love that guy.
You know, this movie doesn't do anything like particularly groundbreaking or different. It's just quality. It's good. Writing's good. Good comedy. It's about a guy who breaks up with a celebrity girlfriend while she breaks up with him. He goes to Hawaii to try to go over it. She happens to be there too. Hilarity ensues. I had fun with it. That's about all I have to say about it. Logan.
Yay! Well, I watched a movie this week, and I'm not going to talk about it because it's a little adult. So if you want to talk to me about that movie, because I really enjoyed it, you can go on our Discord server.
Thanks, John. You're also good quality.
Discord.
Do we have a link
in the description?
In the description.
Go to our Discord server.
Go to the Discord link. Go on our Discord. Talk to us on Twitter. I'll talk about all that stuff there probably tonight a little bit because I gotta get it off my chest. Other than that, I didn't really watch any movies this week, but I did watch some TV. Also, we got some TV news that was kind of disappointing. There was a few Fox shows that got canceled. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The Last Man on Earth.
Supposedly picking up.
Yeah, The Last Man on Earth got canceled, which is devastating. I watched that one pretty religiously, and it's so good. And then also The Mick, which I have been watching, and I'm also sad that kind of went because it had a lot of personality.
You're forgetting like the greatest TV news this week, and that's that Rick and Morty's coming back with 70 new episodes.
That's That's a lot of episodes.
Conman says rip to the 99.
Yeah, I think if people are looking into it,
it sounds like Hulu's going to pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know what Fox is doing with their IPs because
they're like dumping all of them before they get bought out.
Right. And I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is definitely the one of all these ones that got canceled that if somebody picked it up, that it was going to be a lucrative deal, you know. Yeah. Something that's going to pay dividends when it's exclusively on Hulu and it's a Hulu original. And because who watches those shows? It's us. It's the millennials. It's the youngins. And then we don't watch broadcast television anymore. The only reason I even started watching like The Last Man on Earth is because they put the episodes up on Hulu. That's the only reason. And the only reason I still watch broadcast television is that my roommate works for a broadcast station and then sometimes has like news stuff that he did on, and I could be like, oh, that's cool. You know? But like other than that, I don't watch live
my
TV.
TV station.
Yeah.
No.
Jerk.
Yours is even less interesting than this one. But yeah, like those are the people who are watching those kind of shows. So I imagine that Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if, you know, bought out by whoever, maybe Netflix even swoops in and takes it. You know, they're like, you know, we're not going to let Hulu get this.
As long as somebody picks it up, which I'm sure will happen.
And so I kind of hope the same happens with Last Man on Earth. That finished up, you know, its final season now the other day. And then I subscribed to Verve, VRV for those who just
The less
CVRV.
refined.
Yeah. And I started watching like, okay, that's where I watched this other movie that will remain unnamed. Exclusive conversation elsewhere.
Talk to Logan about it in Discord.
And I started watching the 4th season of Bravest Warriors. I was like, I've seen the 4th season. I was like, wait, no, I've seen the 3rd season. I haven't seen the 4th season. And the 4th season's like a full-length season. It's like 24 episodes. It kind of plays out like each episode is like 2 episodes of like 11 minutes each, kind of just like adventure time. But I've been following this show for years, and it got pretty irregular releases. But now that Verve is a thing and they got funding coming through, it's it seems like they're able to put a lot more into it. And I'm like 11 episodes, 12 episodes in, and I'm really digging it because I really dug it. I mean, my lanyard is freaking Catbug, which is Bravest Warriors, and then I have a Catbug shirt.
Catbug.
And so it was only a matter of time until I was like, oh, time to get back into this. For those of you who haven't watched Bravest Warriors or started out as a web series, I guess it technically still is a web series. It's available on Verve. And it's just, it's so grand. Catbug is such a great character. There have been several moments in this season with Catbug just being like adorable as heck. And you're just like, I love this show.
The timing of that is pretty interesting too, because Tomska just released the Muffin song, and the Muffin is played by the kid who plays Catbug, and that just came out today.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how long that will last. Like, because he's gonna grow up, he's gonna hit puberty, and he's not gonna be able to do the voice.
That's what happened to the original Alphonse in Full Metal.
Right. So hopefully they just like get like an archive of like recordings, like, this one, okay, let's use that.
Anything else
Otherwise,
you want
to recast him? In terms of movies, TV, that's it for me. I did start watching another film on Verve again through the Shudder channel, which is all like the horror stuff. And there are some really goofy ones on there.
And John says the Catbug kid needs to be cryogenically frozen.
Absolutely. I'm not always in favor of that forever.
You don't want to. He's still
He
a
needs to
person.
retain his youth. He needs to be young forever.
You guys are so selfish. Let the kid live his life. Let him grow up.
All right, it's time for Paul Mageddon. You've got quite the list here, dude.
I was sick last week. And so last weekend I decided that I wanted to watch through like all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so since I didn't really want to do anything, I didn't want to get up, go anywhere because I was just hacking up a storm on my couch. Yeah, I made some good headway there.
I think you found a good way to spend it.
Yeah. Before I dig into that,
so
though,
now you're going to give us an in-depth analysis of all of these movies.
That's a little bit. I'm going to save some of it for later, so people keep coming back, get more of it. To start off, though, I actually watched something that Brandon recommended a long time ago.
Steins Gate?
I sat down with... I recommended that. Get out of here, Logan.
What?
My sister came over, and she had Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. And I am a huge fan of Jumanji. I watched it a lot as a kid growing up. It was one of me and my sister's favorite movies. And so to hear about the reboot, I wasn't initially excited, but I've heard good things from Brandon and then my coworker Gary. And so I'm like, well, I'll check this out. And it was a darn enjoyable movie.
It has absolutely no right to be.
It does something. I like the tone of it overall better than the original Jumanji because it's a lot lighter. It doesn't feel as much like they're going to die. Versus the original, it doesn't feel as dangerous, which I think is a very good approach because the original Jumanji is a really kind of a dark film for families. And so I think this captures the right tone.
There's an untapped market.
That's a Netflix category waiting to happen.
I'm starting it right here and now. I think it's going to be better overall for the market they're going after. I can't say that I like it more than the original, but I think I like it about as much.
Man, like some of the jokes in that movie really land.
Absolutely.
Like the humor isn't like elevated or like you have to be an intellectual to get the humor. It's just dumb. But
They're
it's
teenagers in
dumb.
adult bodies. It's exactly what you want it to be.
I will never not laugh at Kevin Hart blowing up for eating cake.
I think that's
I guess
one
I
of the
need to
things
see
about
this
it.
film because I've been putting it off. It is not.
The casting of that film is absolutely fantastic.
On point.
Absolutely.
John says The Rock and Jack Black. Mm-hmm. Jack
Hey,
Black might be the star of the show here, if you're asking me.
Quick tangent. I just want to ask you guys a question. Are you guys excited for the sequel to this Jumanji film?
I'm all in.
Please no.
Yeah, you guys have heard about it? It's coming out pretty soon. It's called Rampage.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. I've heard it's great.
It's the sequel to this one, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's how it works.
That's absolutely
it's like
what this
the
movie
jungle,
is.
and then you get the stuff like that.
I'm not gonna lie. Actually,
Dwayne Rock
the
Johnson,
duo,
he's the same character.
the duo I appreciate more in this movie. Well, not Rampage. No, get out of here, Logan.
What is it?
In Jumanji, not Jack Black, The Rock and Kevin Hart, I think, make a spectacular duo.
Yeah, they
Those
play
two
off each
work
other
really
really
good
well.
together.
How did they play
I
off
want
of
some more of
Robert
that.
Williams?
Logan, we might have to like kick you out of the call.
I've got to go. I don't quite have the commitment of Brandon.
You have farther to go for your water than I did.
Actually, I don't.
Oh, your additional water.
That was my additional water.
Oh, okay.
So we got a lot of ground to cover here because I went through all of Phase 1, minus Iron Man because I'd watched that previously.
Yeah,
and then I'm most of the way through Phase 2. So I watched The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Rank favorite to worst.
Favorite to worst?
Yep.
That's hard. Let me pull up my list. I may or may not be working on this. Let me go worst to favorite.
Okay.
Because I actually do know that a little better. Thor the Dark World, The Incredible Hulk. Wait, no. Thor, The Incredible Hulk, Thor the Dark World, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. Is this counting the ones that I didn't watch this week?
Just, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Follow your heart.
Iron Man 3, Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Thank you. Captain America movies are my absolute favorite.
The original Captain America is really fantastic, and it didn't appeal to me as much when it first came out because I was super familiar with his backstory, and it was like the third retelling of it that I had seen in like a year. Now that I've had some space from it and back on it, it's a fantastic film. Iron Man, also, like looking back at that, I didn't realize just how well that movie stands alone to the rest of the cinematic universe. They had made such a solid first entry, and then at the very end they sneak in the last seconds of the credits, hey, there's more, we're doing bigger things here. But it was a lot more subdued. There wasn't a lot of references to other things going off earlier. And so I think next to like maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, like those are two of the strongest standalone films in the MCU.
Yeah.
But Captain America, the Winter Soldier, definitely took what was good about Captain America and really dialed it up.
The Winter Soldier is such a good movie. You could watch that by itself and just have a great time, I think.
Absolutely.
I'm also a big fan of like protagonist versus the organization or the state, like government. I love that kind of story. So like that just ties in really well.
John's got a very nice comment in the comment section there.
I can't get enough of Paul's Thor level hair. Who can really? I mean, that's why he's on this show. That's literally the only reason.
Yep, I got casted for my hair. Speaking of Thor, though, like, I really, really strongly dislike the original Thor. And I love Thor as a character. And so, like, to have those two the first two Thor films at the bottom of my, like, list hurts. It absolutely hurts me to put them there.
At least Natalie Portman's in those films, right? right?
That's actually, I think, the reason why they're bad.
Well, after go ahead.
She was a very poorly written character, so I don't blame her. But I don't think that they did justice for her.
Right. But at least Thor Ragnarok was like...
I was going to say, after Avengers Infinity War, I think Thor might be the love child of the MCU now. I see many people repping Thor now.
The thing is, like, Thor was always solid in the group films because Thor's a solid character. When someone else was taking charge of him and doing him justice, you can have a lot of fun with this character. They just did not capture that in the first two movies. And so, one other thing with my bottom of the list, The Incredible Hulk. I've tried watching that from beginning to end, like probably 10 times in my life, and have never done it.
Did you do it this time?
It was a huge accomplishment that I made it from beginning to end of The Incredible Hulk this time.
That was my first MCU movie.
It's a lot better than I ever gave it credit for, but...
Do you know what they should do with that film?
It's not a bad movie.
Do you know what they should do with that film?
What should they do with it?
Digitally remaster it.
Mark Ruffalo.
And put Mark Ruffalo in.
I'd honestly be okay with that.
I got really into the history of why Edward Norton wasn't recast as the Hulk.
Oh, really?
Is there a solid reason?
Yeah, because he's a pain to work with, apparently, and was doing daily rewrites of The Incredible Hulk on set, and it was driving everybody crazy. So they just didn't want to work with him. Mark Ruffalo was actually the original choice actor from the director of The Incredible Hulk to play him, but Marvel chose Edward Norton. And then they were like, we've made a terrible mistake.
They got Mark Ruffalo.
And they got Mark Ruffalo in the end.
So the only other... I do want to take a minute just to talk about Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, and then I'm done.
Let's do it.
So
Iron Man 2 a bad movie?
I didn't think so, going back through it.
Oh, I do.
It could definitely be improved. I think Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, and Avengers are all very similar in that, like, they did not start off very strong. And then some of them, you know, maybe their weakest points were kind of somewhere else other than the beginning. But I think they all had a lot of redemptive qualities that made them at least like mid-tier entries into the MCU. And like I'm looking back at just the Iron Man trilogy, you see a lot of really subtle changes with Tony Stark's character, and that like just keeps carrying over. I could go on for hours just talking about the evolution of Tony Stark and his Iron Man suits from like film to film. Because I just keep noticing like, oh, hey, that's where he got the idea. Oh, hey, that's why he did it. Oh, hey, you know, there's just a lot of complexity, a lot of subtlety between these films that you really don't notice until you put them all together and watch them back to back.
So what you're saying is they really play with the like nitty gritty, you know, like we mentioned, or he did this one thing and it's supposed to set this up for this next film, even though like unless you're looking for it, you're not going to see it.
That's how I mean, just to give you an example, Age of Ultron, like when we watched it last time.
To give you an example, like I think that's a lot of like these films. If you go back and watch them, you kind of have a different appreciation for them now. But just an example of what I was saying, in Thor 2, the bad guy creates an autonomous Iron Man type army that Tony Stark has to battle. Where have we seen that? That's what he was trying to do with the Iron Legion in Age of Ultron. Yeah. In Iron Man 3, you see him start to achieve that. He has a lot of, that's the project he was working on. And that's following Avengers, where he realizes, oh, hey, the Earth is in great peril. And so he's in this really huge rush, in, you know, PTSD fueled rush to make all of these suits of armors, you know, make all these autonomous armors that can do everything that he by himself can't. And then that goes a step further, going from Iron Man 3 into Age of Ultron, where he's achieved the Iron Legion. And, you know, that kind of creates its own set of problems. But all of that is just very subtly connected from film to film, and you don't really. I wouldn't have picked up on that unless I went back and watched them, and part of that's because I watched them out of order. But it's a very interesting thread going across.
Any other movies and TV this week?
Is it?
Now we're moving on to some anime. My Hero Academia.
I don't have a lot. I'll start.
I said My Hero Academia.
Oh.
That's good.
We're talking about My Hero Academia.
Fifth episode was good.
It is good. Strong follow-up to a spectacular episode.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. One of the things that they were talking about in that episode was that eventually he's going to feel all the pain. And I'm curious how true that was going to be, because it was once he finishes his objective, once he reaches his goal, that's when the pain's going to set in.
This is literally Kaioken.
I think it's going to be a long time before he reaches that goal, because at first you assume that it's a very, very short goal. I got to reach the telepath to get this news to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then you take it a step further. They're after my friend. I have to find him. I have to protect him.
Yeah, it won't be till this entire situation is over, probably, unless he gets laid out and then someone has to come in and save him, which wouldn't surprise me. Also,
I think it's gonna be a mid-battle thing, and then it's gonna play on the dynamic between him and his rival friend Bakugo.
I was like, what? Bakugo. Yeah.
He cares about him, and I feel like the reverse is true.
I gotta be honest, though. I'm getting nervous about where the story is going, because if it's going where I think it's going, it's just gonna be Naruto, and that won't be cool, because Naruto already exists, and it already did it pretty well. So let's not do that again, please.
I like the dynamic of Bakugo, where he wants to be the best, but he's still a hero.
Exactly.
He's just a jerk of a hero.
Yeah, the motivations between him and particular characters in Naruto are a lot different. And if they bring him down the path of joining the evil alliance or whatever they're called. Yeah, it's going to be so
Let's be real, what did he cost?
Just don't be phoned in. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And I hate to be that guy. It's just it's making me nervous. So far, I'm enjoying myself a whole lot, though.
Yeah.
Let me make that clear. It's just I don't want to retread stories that have been told in anime that I spent 15 years watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. This obviously still has a lot of room to grow as a series. And obviously you can see the shonen influence kind of shining through, but
it is a shonen true and true.
Right. But hopefully they find ways to subvert expectations.
I have a feeling they're not going to go the route that I'm worried they will. It's just they're leading up to that right now, but I think we're going to come down to Bakugo making that choice for himself and deciding then that he's a hero overall.
Well, I think it's going to be that he has to step in and save Midoriya.
And be the hero for him.
I think that's going to be the dynamic at play. I think Midoriya's going to get there. That's when the pain's going to set in mid-battle, and Bakugo's going to do the right thing.
See, that'd make me
and
really happy.
And then he'll act angry and upset about it afterwards.
Exactly.
Just trying to hide it. Yeah.
Oh,
I think he's a huge softie, but he doesn't want to let it in. He doesn't want to let on.
I've been saved by Fox. How swell. That's what's going to happen. He's just going to be Falco. He can be a Falco. Don't be a Sasuke. Michaela wants to remind us that this is the story of how he became the greatest hero ever.
But not Bakugo.
Not Bakugo.
Not Bakugo.
Bakugo, this is the story of how he became the biggest jerk ever.
Biggest poopy head.
So yeah, excited for next week on My Hero Academia. This season is just briskly paced, and I'm enjoying myself a whole lot. We got right into the action in this season, so it's really fun. I started watching Steins Gate. I'm 3 episodes deep.
Logan, you're 1 episode deep?
I'm 1 episode deep, and I hate it.
I hate you, so
I don't.
I'm just gonna keep hating it until I finish it, and then I'll decide whether I like it or not. But
you're gonna
for now,
tell
I
me you
hate it.
still hate it. You're gonna always hate it, even though you secretly love it.
Exactly.
On 3 episodes.
This show sucks. Who does time travel like this? Nobody does this. This is so lame.
If you want my honest opinion, I'm not enjoying myself yet.
You will.
I anticipate that. That's why I'm going to keep watching. It's just
When you start to figure out what's going on, the show really hits its stride.
I think I might already know what's going on, but
Brandon's ahead of the curve.
that you don't completely.
I have an idea of what's happening, but I could be wrong. There's a good chance I am wrong. But
Yeah, just like when I had an idea what Planet, and then that just wasn't the case. And then
no, you were a wrong boy, and then you were a sad boy.
yeah.
The show does a good job of like expanding just enough, giving you just enough more to keep coming back and wanting to find out what happens next.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily enjoying the characters that much, except for
Well, you're wrong.
I'm just telling you my opinion, man. I don't like
Ding
them.
ding ding. Round one.
I kind of like the scientist guy. I don't know enough about these people yet to know for sure how I feel.
I'm waiting for Joe to show up in the chat. He's my rock right now. He's the only person that knows.
Michaela fell asleep while we were watching it, but this is normal for her.
That's the way.
Like I said, I anticipate I'll probably change my mind going forward. It's just right now I don't really
Please
feel
do.
much.
You're breaking my heart.
I got to tell you like it is, man. Michaela says she did. Logan, what was your opinion that you hate it?
Okay, let me.
The first
me think
episode's
about
really
this.
weird.
Yeah, it was just really odd.
I had to
And
force
obviously,
myself to keep coming back for a few episodes.
I was kind of digging it because it was so off the wall. You know, I don't know what I was anticipating starting off, but it started to honestly give me like Bebop vibes in a way. You know, just how it kind of carefree and silly it is at times. Like it doesn't take itself like too seriously. You know, like because you're saying like the scientist dude, he's kind of like always on edge, and I just thought that was funny. You know, so I think I'm enjoying myself as of now, but as we begin to talk about it and as Paul expresses how much he loves it, I will continue to resist.
This is why I'm pushing through. I'm doing it for you.
I'm doing it for you.
And at some point, I'll probably actually be doing it for me. That's what I look
hope
forward
so.
to. I mean, I like anime like this, just stuff that keeps you guessing. I like following a mystery and having it unfold. It's just the way the mystery presents itself in the beginning is so vague that it you just don't know what to do with it. You're like, I don't even know if anything's happening yet.
To a degree, I think that it lends itself well because of that, because you don't really know what the hell's going on in the beginning. The way it unfolds is just that much better because of that.
I think the thing that worried me the most is that Josiah has this 3-episode rule with anime. Like, you give it 3 chances and then you're done. Well, I watched 3 episodes and I was like, I still don't like this yet.
But then you have 2 people who are like, you should watch Steins Gate.
I just feel like we're definitely like still in the introductory phase of the story. I had this issue with Clannad, which I almost gave up on, and I would have never told you to watch it.
That's
Logan.
why I don't believe in 3-episode rules. I believe you have to go to the end, as painful as that is sometimes, before you can make your total judgment.
You kind of just have to
I
throw
hate
some
myself,
darts,
don't
man.
worry.
You gotta just see where it lands, you know?
You know, I've only got so much time.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like I would be more willing to try if I didn't have things to do.
Right. And you don't want to spend all your time watching anime like that. And again, you can only try so much. But that's why you prioritize things that, you know, people suggest to you. Obviously, I've watched a lot of anime that you guys are like, should watch this anime, and then that's the anime that I'm watching right now. So like for me, that's the most important reason is, you know, the fact that I'll get to watch this and discuss it with other people makes that value proposition, you know, a little greater. So even if you're not liking Steins Gate, you know, if you trudge on, one, you might enjoy it down the line. And two, if you don't enjoy it down the line, at least there's still a discussion to be had, you know? So maybe you'll learn about some by yourself that you didn't know before, but now you know because you're watching Steins Gate. You're like, I don't like this very much, but they like it.
It was important for me to come in with my opinion now because it'll be, like I said, I anticipate that I'm going to enjoy this show. So seeing how my opinion changes and formulates over the rest of the season, I think there's value in that because
there's an interesting dynamic here because there's always the opportunity later that I'm just gonna realize that I don't like you guys very much. So we can't be friends.
If in the end I still don't like it, I'm sorry, but I don't.
I'm not gonna hold against you guys if you don't like it, but I think you should.
If you don't like it, we're not friends anymore.
I should start taking notes and just like harshly criticizing it though. Just find everything that's wrong with it. Here's my list for the week, guys. This is why Steins Gate sucks.
Next week you need to come with like 1 billion still frames of just really terrible animated like faces in the background, super zoomed in.
When you
guys, okay.
When you said when you said that in the Discord chat, like half of me like thought this was just like regular Logan BS. And then the other half was like, this might be real.
I would love to find a show that you guys absolutely love that I think is legitimately awful. I want that to happen.
It'll happen someday.
I love Master of Martial Arts.
Yeah. So
Josiah says you'll hold it against us.
Cool.
So, you know, we're working on all these videos and stuff like that. And I've been kind of out of commission. Haven't really had a computer to edit with or record with.
How dare you?
Getting that fixed, making sure that I got some stuff. But I was, you know, when I don't have a computer in front of me, sometimes I do more of my creative thinking. So besides writing a bunch of music, I'm thinking about all these videos I could make. And I think I might just start making videos, like topical videos about whatever piece. Like maybe I'll start talking about an anime or something like that, or a game. And I may not, you know, agree with my own rants. I'll just do it just to like kind of poke the bear, you know? So it's like, oh, Steins Gate's awful. Here's a whole video. And then it's just Paul has to live with that. That's on the channel.
There's no end segment where you tell you how you really feel.
If you do the video with the person that you know, like you're trying to poke.
We'll figure it out. I'm still working out the specifics. It's going to be a good one, though.
So enough about Steins Gate.
You mean that awful show? Yeah. Let's
that's all you watched, Logan, so we're on to Paul. Oh, wait, no, I had an anime I watched.
Yeah, I was about to say, man.
I watched, like, good lord, like 30-something episodes of Boruto.
Well, dang, man.
I fell off for a long time because it was boring.
Boruto.
More like Boruto.
Yeah. More like Bolt.
Yeah, so like
boring toe.
One of the main reasons I dropped off of Boruto is because I thought I was in the middle of a filler arc. And the more I've watched this show since then, I've realized that what I might
all filler.
What I might have thought was filler in the past maybe wasn't.
No.
So like they're filling in these extra stories in the anime version of Boruto, but they're actually like tying them in to the canon plot in ways that actually makes them valuable. Like the reason I hate filler in Naruto is because there were character arcs in those filler pieces that would ultimately have absolutely no bearing like on the character's true motivations in the real story. But in Boruto, when we're in like the canon material, they draw back to those moments and draw back to those character motivations and actually use them. And I was like, oh, okay, now I don't feel like an idiot for having watched 30 episodes of filler because it all meant something in the end.
Right. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, in this way, the filler could just, you know, it'd be a way of filling out the world.
And that's what they're doing with it too.
Yeah.
It's It's been the weirdest experience I've ever had with filler in any anime I've ever watched.
It kind of makes sense in this particular context because, the movie was a standoff, or just a one-off. The games, I don't anticipate them making a lot of games with plot progression. That's an odd choice. The manga's one chapter a month, and it's never going to really get that far. This is the only chance they really have to build this world.
Yeah, I spent probably close to 30 some odd episodes with Boruto still as a student at the Ninja Academy before he was a genin. And in the Boruto movie, you start with him already being a ninja. So, like, that's all that background, that I didn't have before. I won't spoil the plot of Boruto the movie, because if you're a Naruto fan, please watch it. It's incredible. But they're building up the plot of that film over the course of the entirety of, like, the first 40-ish episodes. But not in just, like, singular ways. Like, they're building up on the relationship between Boruto and his father. They're building up on enemy motivations. There's an enemy that they invented for the movie that wasn't in the anime that wasn't even in the movie. And they're bringing back certain characters from other certain canon Naruto movies and making some plays with those characters. And I'm like, they're really doing some cool stuff with this. I'm really enjoying it. Like, right now...
Is Naruto in Boruto?
Yes.
You mean Boruto's dad?
Boruto's dad, Shippuden.
Exactly.
So, like, I'm in the movie arc right now. I'm currently in the part of the anime that's covering the events of the film, which I've now seen in, like, various forms of media. But they're adding...
At least 3 times before this.
Yes. But they're adding, like, secondary scenes and all of these character moments that aren't in the movie that are so valuable. Like, Paul, I mentioned to you that there was a scene between Sasuke and Konohamaru, 2 characters you'd never imagine would actually talk to each other.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
And the interaction they had was fantastic. It actually made me emotional. I was like, this is incredible. Huh. This show...
That's the last thing I would have guessed.
I hated Boruto for, like, 6 months, and then I got back on it, and I'm like, nope, I'm on the train.
Brandon, please stop. At this rate, you're going to make me watch it.
It might be the only good material from Naruto that's worth watching right now, or, like, involving yourself with. Because you can't say much about the manga, because the manga is going at a snail's pace.
I don't even know the last time I read it, but you know what? I could have gone, a year without reading it, and I still would have only missed 2 chapters.
It's awful. Praise the anime, because the anime, I will now say with confidence, the anime right now is good.
I'm pretty sure that manga release schedule is still better than Berserk.
Yeah, it's on hiatus again, isn't it? Like, after being back after so long?
It's like...
That's fun.
Always on hiatus.
To respond to Michaela, I probably will at some point, but right now my list of ongoing anime that I'm currently watching is like 5 deep, so...
Comes out on Thursdays.
Much anime, and besides anime, there's movie and TV, video games, and just keep up with it all.
Logan, I really want to see you, like, keep up with Naruto, because there's just so much there.
Let's see.
It goes places.
There's a lot there, and... It's one of the reasons.
Skip the filler, man.
There's 404 canon episodes. Good luck.
There's only 72 manga volumes. That
might even be the better way to do it.
Honestly,
just
at this
read
point,
the manga.
It probably is. Yeah.
Honestly, I'd probably be more into that right now.
It's like 3 days straight. You'll be caught up. I mean, that's not kind of sleeping.
The only manga that I feel like I am caught up on, because I don't read manga, is the Berserk manga. But even then, like, I think I've read through, like, volume 34, 35, and there's 39 now. But they were through 37 when I was reading through them, and that's like 2 years ago.
I think there's a lot more value in the manga too, because you're getting Kishimoto's direct drawings, and his art style is so unique and so strong. He has a really good sense of style, especially in some of those early manga covers. Like, there's a lot of obvious Japanese and ninja influence.
There's also not like 40% filler in the manga.
That too. So yeah, maybe do that instead. If you like Naruto and you finished it, maybe try out Boruto. That's all I'll say about that. We're on to you, Paul, with anime.
So Black Clover's still going on. They got out of the, like, not the first major arc. They got out of the current major arc, and then there was like a fluff episode. So, you know, it's still Black Clover. Persona 5, the animation, they got through the first palace. And so now I'm in that weird intro, like, mediary phase between this palace and the next. And so, I mean, it took them 5 episodes to get through the first palace. So I'm curious to see if they'll keep up that pace moving forward.
Okay.
I'll report on that later.
Go for
Shokugeki no Soma. Did you watch that this week, Brandon?
I didn't put it down because I fell asleep during it when Michaela watched it, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
It was good. Steins Gate 0. I like Steins Gate.
Don't talk much about that. I'm not there yet.
I wasn't going to. That's why I just said I like it.
Except worse because it's 0.
That's simuldubbed, right? Or is it not?
Yeah, it's simuldubbed. I think it might be a little bit behind on our end.
Okay.
But not by much. Because it was started airing like a few weeks ago.
If I have to wait like a week or two for a dub episode, I'm fine. Like, yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Can I just kind of express some grievances I have with simuldubs?
No.
Oh, I know exactly what it is too, because of an experience we had earlier this week.
A little bit of story time. This won't be too long.
Go for it.
I decided I couldn't wait for the next episode of the dub for My Hero Academia, just to be informed that Logan, the dub and the sub are on the same episode because simuldubs. And I was like, what is this crap? What kind of awful world do I live in that I can't turn sub to watch ahead because the dub and the sub are in the same place?
I'm going to enlighten you here really quick. There's option 3. Just read the manga.
That is an option.
That's where I got. That's where I went with Naruto.
I'm drawing the line there, though.
I've looked into this. I was looking to see if they had like some of the manga volumes at my local library, but both the first 2 volumes were missing, so I haven't gotten started yet.
See, I don't want to read the manga on this one. I think for now, I just want to experience it through the anime.
The anime is solid enough that I don't want to. Like, Naruto was hard because of the amount of filler. And like,
yeah,
it was easier to switch to the manga and read through it real fast, especially given like the quantity of it and just how far like the dub was behind everything else. Like,
and
the sub would have gotten me really far, but the sub was going on a year after the manga ended. It was a year.
Oh my god,
a year. Because they just kept throwing in more filler.
The final arc,
pushing that back.
The final arc is only 104 episodes long, canon, and like 300 or 400 episodes long filler.
That's not okay.
That's awful.
That's a case where you just like, if you want to know the story, you just manga.
The only manga, like, you know, I remember when I read the Naruto manga. I think, I don't even remember like the exact context, but it was over spring break of my sophomore year of high school, I think. And yeah. I think the dub of Naruto Shippuden had just started, and I watched, or no, this is what happened. For Christmas, my mother had gotten me like the first couple volumes of Naruto when Shippuden starts. I don't even know like how she knew to start there, but she did, because the manga's name doesn't change at that point. It's still just Naruto. So I read like the entire first arc of Naruto Shippuden and like half of the second arc, and then I ran out of volumes and I said, "Oh no." Luckily, back in that time, Naruto.com was doing something pretty cool. They were, before like even Hulu, they were releasing the subbed episodes a week after they aired in Japan on their website to watch for free, which was really cool at the time. There really wasn't anything like that. So for the entirety of spring break, I binged the entirety of Naruto Shippuden, which was like over 100 episodes at that point, on their website, and read the entirety of the manga like after I had ran out of episodes. And I just like full force to the end of Naruto where it was at that point. I had so much knowledge in 1 week of what happened in that series, I probably could have blown up.
Heck yeah.
And you followed suit right shortly after, if I recall.
I think you convinced me during the summer. So it took me like probably about a month or two, but then, like a good friend, you got me all the manga, and I was able to read it. Because I was stuck in no internet, middle of nowhere, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
Good times. Now there's internet there, so... America.
What else you got on anime?
Last one. It was the recommendation from Dream Drop Sora Kakegurui. I finished it today. It's a weird show. What's your verdict? Really enjoyable.
Did you like it in the end, or?
The tone of it is it's kind of a put off. But I think I recommend it. Because it's just crazy enough, really gripping. Like, there's been a handful of times where I was like, well, I'm going to watch this one last episode, and then I'm going to move on to something else, something, equally as engaging. But it just ended in a way that, like, well, I guess I'm not. I'm going to watch the next episode. Can't be helped. It's good anime.
Drawing you in. That's how you do it. I love a good show like that. I think that's what happened with me with My Hero Academia. It's like I got maybe like 5 or 6 episodes in, and I was like, and then I finished, 2 seasons in a very short period of time. And
Logan, it's kind of funny. Paul and I, we grew up with Dragon Ball and Naruto, and now you're growing up with My Hero Academia. This is your first shonen, like that you're there for.
Right, at least one that's going to be more like longer and kind of echoes those kind of same feelings,
Yeah.
Like I got to watch, all this Dragon Ball in a very short period of time. So,
I mean, real quick, tone-wise, like the thing that's off-putting is it's very, very adult in places, and it felt like it was more so than it needed to be, or it was in like really odd ways,
or it was just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, and then sometimes characters, they get into their inner monologue, and then they just make really, really uncomfortable expressions. I don't know how to describe it. You just have to watch it. But
okay,
fair enough.
Don't watch it with your parents. That's the warning.
I don't even live with my parents.
Then you're good.
But for all of you who still live with your parents, don't watch it with your parents.
Maybe wait till they leave.
Jumping into the game segment of the breakdown.
Woo!
So, I'm playing Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2.
Naruto
hey,
with
well,
you.
I thought we were on video games. We're not going back to anime. What the heck, man?
I'm going back to anime. Well, the thing is, like, my binge of Boruto was a result of me playing Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. The first one, because I was having such a bad time with that game. It's like I would rather be watching Boruto right now, and then I ended up having a good time with that, so I wanted.
And then you're like, I would much rather be watching Boruto.
Yeah. So I finally finished Storm, got that out of the way. I'm on to Storm 2. I thought Storm 1 was a bad game. Storm 2 is a great game.
Figured out what they're doing.
The story is there, for one. And you're experiencing it, and a huge amount of that game is fully voice acted, which is really neat. You really go through the story beat by beat. It's pretty on point. And the number of Storm is known for its really big cinematic boss battle sequences, and Storm 2 is just full of them. Like the very first battle you have in the game is a boss battle. That's like really well animated with great character moments in it. So it's like it starts off on a high note, and then from there you do some regular battles that actually have the story around them as the context, with some more boss battles thrown in. And I finished the first arc of Shippuden, and I'm like, yep, I'm ready to keep playing this game.
So it's not filler story of the game.
No, it's just the story of the game.
That's the thing I didn't like about the first one, the little bit that I played, and I don't think I'm going back to it.
You really don't need to.
It was just not the story, which is what I was there to experience. I went into the story mode wanting to experience the story.
You're not going to in Storm 1. You just don't. And they even screwed up the final arc, which I will not give story details about, but there are a series of battles that take place in that arc that they don't even include. every single person on a particular team during that arc all fight the same Sound Ninja person. All of them fight the same one over and over again 4 times in a row. It's terrible.
I'm not playing that game. If I could return just that part of the trilogy, I would.
Start with 2 and go to the end, because it's much better. They do get rid of the open world Hidden Leaf Village. I do kind of miss that, because it was actually probably the most fun part of the game, was just running around the Leaf Village, like full 3D and free.
If it gets a more focused story out of it, though, I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, now the Leaf Village is segmented areas you run in between, like the later games, but all of the parts of the Leaf Village are completely hand-drawn, and the characters are just on top of it. So it looks very nice. It's just not as fun to travel as it was in the first game. But I'm enjoying it. They improved the battle system, too, when you can tell right away. So, good job. Gonna keep playing that. And that's all I played this week.
That's actually a good segue into the only game I played this week. After God of War, I went back to Uncharted, and I beat Uncharted 4. Oh, man. Where were they hiding this when I was playing through the original trilogy? Where did this come from?
That opening sequence in the attic was pure bliss for me. Just like shooting off that pop gun with the music in the background.
I got an achievement for that, or for hitting all the targets, and like that was just the dumbest thing, and it brought so much joy to me.
I love the character dynamic in this plot. You know, Nathan Drake misses his old exciting life. He's settled down with his wife Elena, and you know, he still has that side of him that he can't ignore, but he's trying his hardest not to for the sake of for Elena. And then ultimately, he gets the best of him.
Shows up.
Yeah,
everything goes to crap. I'm glad that they left him out up until there, and I like the backstory of the brother.
They played it well, yeah.
And I'm gonna say real quick that you guys were very deceptive, because you guys, I think both of you reported like crying while playing this game. So I'm like, Nathan's gonna die. Nathan's gonna die
during Uncharted 4.
I cried during Uncharted 4.
I think I might have cried like there was a few really good moments, especially dealing with like Elena, and then also like their future after the game.
Oh
like
yeah, the epilogue just flat out made me cry.
Yep. That was just the best part of that. I assume though that when you said that, it was because someone died.
If Nathan died, I'd still be mad.
But that made the epilogue just that much better, because I was waiting for someone to die, and then it jumps ahead, and you're expecting, oh, hey, I'm playing this PlayStation game again as Nathan. Nope, it's the daughter. They had look at this whole life they had together. It's amazing.
Did they have a dog? They had a dog.
They had a dog.
Yeah, they had a dog.
And Sully wanted to name it, right?
I think
there was like a character interaction where he's like, "I want to name your dog." And he gives the name, and that's ultimately the name of the dog in the epilogue.
Yeah. The game is just really well crafted. It takes everything that really works and refines it from the first 3 games, and then throws in a few other things to really make it stand out.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what if the combat was good?
Better yet, what if the game wasn't just going from combat sequence to combat sequence? That's actually like my only complaint about the first 3 games, is that it just felt like you're going from combat to combat. And this felt like there was a lot more in between. And so I really appreciate this game.
Yeah, I think 4 has the best pacing overall. You know, kind of just allowed
Rita Kiss in the chat says, I want Uncharted remastered with that Ed and Eddie sound effects.
Oh my God.
I would play that.
You were saying, Logan?
I can't even remember anymore. Let's just keep moving on.
Yeah,
it was a good game.
It's a great,
I liked it a whole lot.
A great end to Nathan Drake's story. I felt very satisfied with how it ended.
If they make more games, which I guess they kind of did already, but I want them to do the Adventures of and what was the brother's name?
Sam and Sully.
Sam and Sully. You got a game there.
Yeah.
I would play that.
Yeah, I would play that too. I'm not exactly done with the Drake family. Maybe we'll get a sequel series where the daughter becomes an adventurer. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's
maybe down the line somewhere.
Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, but Uncharted instead. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Paul.
Me too.
That fourth game is something else.
It was worth playing through all three of them just to play that.
Oh, did you have a final ranking for the series?
Given how well they paced the fourth game, it's 4, 2, 3, 1.
That's the right order.
That's the right answer.
That's the right answer.
I've heard some people criticize 4 a lot for pacing issues, and it's like, nah, boy,
they're wrong.
You're wrong.
I don't always say that people's opinions are wrong. But that's just wrong. Speaking of an opinion that's right, though, Ridicus in the chat, Tomb Raider Uncharted crossover, I'd be all over.
Oh yeah, I'd be super down with that. That'd be fun. Lara Croft is actually the great-great-granddaughter of Nathan
But
Drake.
it'll be set as like a Tomb Raider versus Uncharted, right?
So Lara Croft versus Nathan getting a treasure or something.
That could be an interesting story. They're racing the treasure, and you
here's
back
the
and
twist:
forth.
it's actually a platform fighter, and it's exclusive to PlayStation platform.
I thought you were gonna say it's exclusive to PSP.
Exclusive to PSP. Yeah.
Not even Vita. Okay. And
Yes, that was me this week.
that leaves you, Logan, on games. What do you got?
Yes, sir. I played quite a few games today. I'm kind of working through a back catalog of sorts, right? Games that I've either played most of before and have never finished.
This is a great list, by the way. I'm very happy with this.
Yeah, so I've actually not beaten a lot of the 3D Zelda games, so I'm working my way through Majora's Mask 3D right now. And the reason that kind of came on me is I went home the other weekend, actually the weekend we did the podcast at your house, Brandon. A few days before that, I picked up some items from my parents' house. And some of those items were gaming items. And I opened up a case for Super Smash Bros. 3DS, and I did not find Super Smash Bros. 3DS, but I found Majora's Mask 3D, which I was actually much happier about. Much happier about.
As you should be.
And I was like, well, I guess this is the universe telling me to play through this game. So I'm struggling through it. I'm to the point where I understand enough of what's going on that I'm trying not to touch the any guides or walkthroughs. I've used them a few times because I know if I don't, I'll just get frustrated and I won't finish the game at all. So I'd rather finish the game with a handicap and experience it all.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and so I try to go as far as I can without using a walkthrough, and then I'm just like, okay, screw this. And I flip out a walkthrough and I keep playing it. I finished the first 2 temples.
So the Deku Palace and the Goron Snow one?
Yes. So those were fun. I've played through both of those before, so I'm not quite caught up to the place that I've played through before. But I imagine once I beat this, I'm going to have to get my hands on Ocarina of Time 3D and finally finish that game. If I've, I call myself a Zelda fan, but it's like I still haven't beaten Ocarina of Time. Like I still haven't beaten A Link to the Past. Like I got some work to do, but at least I have access to some of these games. So it's just a matter of time.
If you've been playing around with any side quests in Majora's Mask?
After you said it, I was like, okay, I want to find some of the stuff. So I looked up where to find like the bunny hood and all this other well, I've been doing this whole game without the bunny hood, and then I got the bunny hood, and I was like, thank God.
Have you met the innkeeper?
Yes.
The red-haired girl?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's the best side quest.
The game and I know the side quest.
That's the absolute best side quest in Zelda history, and you have to play it. Please do that one. I'm
really digging the side quests.
They're so
in this game. Like Nintendo needs to dig into some of these other 3D games that did some of these things so well and adapt that for the Breath of the Wild formula.
Well, one of the reasons I think the side quests in Majora's Mask hit so well is they really utilize that 3-day mechanic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So it makes it really interesting. You have to be at the right time, at the right day, and have the right items, and
you can witness things change for these characters if maybe you do something wrong, or even if you do something right, and their outcomes will change. And so there's a lot of dynamics to it that make it really interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been enjoying that game. So I'm not sure I'll have that finished anytime soon, because I got distracted with some other games.
Go for it.
Me and my roommate went out, and we had been talking about buying some to play some GameCube games on. And we didn't have the need for a Wii anymore because we got something that can play a Wii. We got a Wii U without the gamepad, but at least we can play Wii games on it, right? And then we went out and we bought a GameCube. And the first GameCube didn't work. Sadly, it didn't read the disc, so I went and exchanged it the next day. And since then, we picked up a few games while we were there, and I have been playing a few of them. I've been revisiting Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Fantastic. One of the best skating games ever.
Absolutely.
I have also been playing through Metroid Prime. And again, I'm not the farthest I've ever been, but I'm like 3.5 hours in, and I'm like 27% done. So I think I'll probably end up swimming through that and then going back to Majora's Mask.
I'm surprised you're not playing the trilogy version instead.
Because the trilogy costs like a lot of money, and I got, what do you call it? I think I got Metroid for like
you got a Wii U.
bucks?
You can get it for like 20 bucks.
$20 on Wii U.
Yeah, but I don't. I'll consider it.
At least for 2 and 3, if you want to play those.
Right. I'll be interested to see how the pointer controls really work in that. I heard a lot of people like them. I mean, even that being said, like, I think, Metroid Prime's control scheme is a little bit aged, but it still works really, really well.
The game's designed around limitations.
Exactly. Yeah. So the fact that you can just, you can lock on to enemies and you can track, you got that Z targeting, except in, first person space.
It's a shooter where you don't have to know how to aim well.
Right. It makes it super accessible. And then it also, like, that's not the focus of it. The focus is like some of the puzzles and exploring everything, the combat still has some depth to it, Like, if you're fighting a Metroid, use your freaking wave beam, man. If you want to take out some space pirates, hit them with a charge blast, and then fire off a few more shots, and they're gone. It's all just about managing that. And it's funny going back to some of these older games like this that I've experienced in the past to a certain degree. For example, Pikmin. But I find myself to be a much, much more capable gamer nowadays, whereas like back in the day, I couldn't finish Pikmin, and then I finished Pikmin with like 20 out of the 30 days to spare, because I just, I got this. And so in the same sense, I'm playing through some of these places that might have been a lot harder when I was younger, but I have such a grip on how the game functions and what to expect, and that if I just move forward and be a little bit more aggressive, then I'll really kind of like take, these guys out, and it's worked out every time. I'm just like charging into a boss battle, and it's like, okay, 1, I've already done this, and 2, it's like, I'm gonna get this. They just gave me a bunch of stuff. I just got to use that, So, honestly, looking back on this and the design, obviously it's very still Metroid. It's Metroid Prime. You have the different areas that you're going to, different ways of getting about, this non-linear space that you're moving around, going back to find these secrets. But you can kind of see like the Ocarina of Time in it. in a lot of ways. Just the way that, like, you know, this was just the generation after, you know, Ocarina of Time had happened, and in a lot of ways we were still figuring out 3D space. And I guess in some ways we still are. You know, we still don't know what to do with VR. But it still shows that remnants. But again, it's so like distilled and pure that it holds up. You know, you can't blame it for being a GameCube game. If anything, like, again, it was designed around that controller. And so the controls just function really well. I'd say this game has aged really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, even putting it on a 4K television, obviously it's not going to look great. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, the visual design is just superb in this series. And I'd love to see the trilogy get like remakes. You know, give us Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D style, like
an actual remake.
Like an actual remake. And here's what I propose, right? So they're developing 4 right now. Well, what if they're building assets for 4 and they get some other team working on some ports who are helping building those assets for 4 and also building assets for the remakes?
Technically, that's what they did with Metroid Prime trilogies. You know, they used the new things that they got out of Metroid Prime Corruption and just, you know, used those assets and went backwards with them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's something that they should totally do. And that's another way
they
could
catch
just
people up too on what happened.
Yeah, just release the remastered, the remake of the trilogy. You know, brush it up a little bit, make it look super pretty, and be like, get some cool new lighting effects. Like, oh my gosh, there was a part that I was in, right? And I'm just kind of I'm in this huge cylindrical room, okay? And in the distance, I see a door, and in the hallway with the door, there's a bunch of lights, and some of them are flickering, right? And that's something that, like, I don't remember from this game, but, like, if you had the right lighting, you know, and like a higher resolution, those kind of things would really come out. Some of the visual design that they, like, really did well with could only be that much better if it just got a facelift, you know? And man, there are some really good moments, like the moment where you get the thermal visor and everything's dark in that one room, and then you have to make it back in the dark just using the thermal visor.
There's that song that plays, like, when you enter a room where you're about to initiate combat with space pirates, that as a kid was actually very scary for me, because space pirate battles are intense.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
especially in the dark.
Right. Well, going back to him, it's like I know what to expect. And so I wasn't worried hardly in the slightest. But I did get a few jumps in there, you know, like a few jump scares, like, oh, gosh, like something just popped out. And, oh, the music's going. And it instills like a healthy amount of anxiety that they want you to feel in those situations. It's partly psychological. But it's so satisfying. Just go in there and like, okay, I'm going to rip these guys up, and then you finish them up, and then you get a cool new gadget.
Just, man, hats off to Retro Studios for making that series happen. Just taking an established formula out of Metroid and truly translating that to 3D and doing some things with it to evolve the franchise, because those games are just wicked.
And honestly, I was thinking about this. I think it's partially, I mean, Retro, yeah, they did a great job, but I think Metroid was ahead of its time. Like, the formula is just such a solid formula. There's a reason why we have entire genres, you know, just called Metroidvania, just styled after, you know, Metroid and the Castlevania series. It's because it works really, really well.
What if Retro is just ahead of their time?
I mean, that's true too. I don't know how Retro consistently makes such good games, because, like, you know, obviously all studios go through changes, you know, but then they lose people and they still are making. I don't know how
they have an incredibly consistent resume of games.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping
the new, like, Donkey Kong Country. Returns and Tropical Freeze are just across the board. Like people are like, these are some of the best platformers ever made. You know.
I'm really hoping that the reason why we haven't heard from them in a while is because they're making that F-Zero game.
They're making something, but I have a feeling we're not going to hear about it this year. Just gonna throw that out there.
Not.
Even better, I think they're gonna shut Retro down.
Retro actually hasn't been making a game. They're actually working on an educational television series for toddlers.
I thought you were gonna say Labo.
They're working on Connect games.
Get out of here.
What else did you play, Logan?
I think that was it. What I did write in here though is that now that I have a GameCube,
we're not familiar with what you're about to say at all.
Somebody's gonna be picking a Spider-Man 2, so he can just carry himself over until September 7th comes around. I need my Spider-Man fill, and I'm gonna get it.
September 7th when Super Smash Brothers for Switch comes out.
September 14th.
But thankfully, I've already pre-ordered Spider-Man for PS4.
And you haven't pre-ordered Smash Brothers? I'm disappointed in you.
No. Because I haven't seen the game. I've seen Spider-Man.
Logan, this is where you're at. I pre-ordered both. You're on my level.
Whatever. I pre-ordered Detroit Become Human, too, which comes out in, like, less than 3 weeks.
Hey, tell me if that's good, please.
It's May 11th. I think it comes out on the 25th, so it's, like, 2 weeks.
Tell me if that's good,
I will tell you when it's good. I'm actually really hopeful about it, and I'll just mention that why. So I bought the digital deluxe edition, and as an immediate reward for buying the digital deluxe edition, they give you a full download of Heavy Rain, which is David Cage and Quantic Dream's one of their previous games that got really, really high ratings on the PS3. That game has not aged very well. That being said, if you're still into a narrative experience, it's great. I'm pretty sure it's pretty cheap on that. And if you're interested in Detroit Become Human, spend 10 extra bucks on the digital deluxe edition. You'll get it. You can play through it. And I started playing through it, and like the controls for the demo for Detroit are so much more intuitive and feel natural as opposed to some of the inputs for Heavy Rain. For example, if you want to walk in Heavy Rain, you hit the R2 button. And you hold that down to walk around. That's your walk button. It's kind of like you're driving a car, except this car is a person. You know?
That's weird. That's weird.
Don't let that discourage you, because it's not like it's not functional. It functions well. But it's also kind of like, why didn't you just do this? I mean, they're doing some of the same actions, the input commands with, Detroit Become Human, except you actually can move the analog stick to walk around, you know? But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the choices. I played through like all of the endings for the Detroit Become Human demo. So I got all like 6 of the possible endings for that one scene. It'll be interesting to see those like consequences mix and match as you go through the game.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Had a lot of fun on this episode. Remember that part where I took my glass and I went to get water, but I framed it as me getting angry. Yeah, like
Jesus.
Yeah, this was fun, guys. It's always fun. So for those of you who are watching or listening, if you're on the YouTube link, you should go to the YouTube link. If you're not, there's a bunch of links in the description that you should probably check out. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Babababs, at LoggyDubs, at Gunnysaurus, or altogether at Breakroom Arcade. Definitely check out our Discord server, get in those chats, talk with us. We'd love to have you. We have a Patreon available. You can help support the show for as little as $1 a month with some cool, schwanky rewards. You want to get involved with those.
Schwanky rewards.
Including an exclusive, mysterious Patreon t-shirt. More on that later. Check out some of our next videos next week. Subscribe to the channel to find out when that's going to happen. Follow us on Twitch to find out when we go live. Like us on Facebook to find out when we go live on there as well. I want to thank you guys for listening. Any last words, gentlemen, before we leave?
I think I'm gonna break my back.
Follow it up, Paul.
I'm gonna.
No, that was the joke. That was the joke. I said I was gonna break my back.
Oh, well, don't break your
I'm
back.
gonna break Logan's.
There you go.
Back.
Don't break your
I
back.
was setting it up.
Don't break your back. Breaking the games, but for now, break time's over.